Yo. Down and Out Sports Podcast. Let's go. We're all good. Welcome. How we doing?
That was a nice little happy dance. I like that.
How we doing?
It's been 15 years since I've seen that happy dance, but
It's been a while.
still got it.
In a long time, man. Good to be back.
Now we're all grown up. Now we all have beards. We pay taxes.
Yeah,
We got kids that don't listen to us. Some might have kids.
But technically, I had a beard back then, so.
Everybody's grown up. Everybody's grown up.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's new. That's new.
All right, let's properly introduce everyone to the Down and Out Sports Podcast. I am David.
Start out.
We
I
got
am Blake. Oh, go ahead.
Blake top left, Daniel top right, Q bottom right, and he's still muted like a donkey.
Hey, I kept it.
Oh.
All right, let's explain where we came from. A little internet show podcast.
So my mom and dad went on a date.
There you go.
Yeah, so we, long time ago when we were juveniles, boys, I think I'll kind of go off of this. We just kind of found some mics and started talking. And we started talking about some random sports, and we called it The Pulse. And it was a fun little hobby that we did before we all settled down and, I don't know, running wild. But that was, 15 years ago?
That was 15 years ago. We used a card
11
table.
years ago.
We had
Yeah.
all of the equipment.
It was bougie. We'd have a dog barking in the back. Like it was bougie.
Shout out to Spreaker.
Breaking through windows.
Shout out to Spreaker and Audacity.
Yep,
Right.
yep, all that good stuff. But we kind of
It
did
was
this for
2011.
we did it for a couple of years. We had a podcast going. We were talking all sports, everything under the sun. I think we talked like MLS soccer like one time, and then we're like never again. But
I don't think we covered soccer. I think it was baseball, basketball, hockey.
I remember covering the World Cup, like that kind of
really?
stuff, like briefly, and we like tried to do hockey, but hockey's too complicated to get into because hockey's like all over the place with stats and everything. So this podcast,
So anyway,
we're sticking
podcast
strictly.
We got that podcast up to I think like 4,000 or 5,000 plays.
Yeah.
So it went from literally just like my mom listened to it to like 50,000 or 5,000 plays, not 50.
International too.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
Anyway, we took 15 years off, and here we are. Came up with a new logo and kind of where we're at in life. I think what we did too to kind of hone on the down and outs, side of things here. With the Pulse, we used to talk about all these different type of sports. We're really honing in on America's two favorite, which would be baseball and football. We're not going to dwell too much into football now. I know the Super Bowl just ended, and we have a Niner fan here who I really don't want to check back into rehab. So we won't talk too much about it because we know the truth.
I'll lead that one, and then
we know the truth. We know the truth. We know the truth. 49er faithful. But what we'll do here is David, I know you kind of got a resume here of kind of what we'll hit, but just kind of covering the basics. I know baseball's kicking up. We got spring training. It's a fun time to be a baseball fan right now. We got a lot going on. Still got a lot of unanswered stuff too that I know we're going to hit on to in a little bit. Thank you, Scott Boris, for that. But David, I'll kind of kick it over to you, man. What are we talking about here?
All right.
Well done.
So
man.
we just covered two intro slides.
What New York jersey is that, by the way? Is that Aaron Judge or is that your Robinson Cano one you can't just seem to get rid of?
This is the Robbie Cano one.
Did it come with HGH or?
It came with roids. That's why I'm not showing you the back, because it's like I look at it and I'm just like this disgrace.
Well, at least you didn't have to pay him $250 million.
No, Seattle.
So there you go.
Seattle did.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Okay. Well, I know we said we're not going to talk about the Super Bowl, but let's recap it short and sweet here.
We are? Sorry, Blake.
Let's recap it short and sweet here. Obviously, if you don't live under a rock,
49ers loss.
The Chiefs robbed the Niners 25-22.
Uh-oh.
T-Swift fans are happy. SF fans are going on a tirade. Just leave it at that. Leave it at that.
Dude,
It's fine.
I gotta say something. As a man in my household, I have two daughters, 7 and 5. They are obsessed with Taylor Swift. The whole week of the Super Bowl and 3 days after, Taylor Swift did not exist in this house. I made damn sure of that. So Blake, I got you.
That last part there, yeah. I mean, the girls can like, they're kids. The girls can like whatever singer. I honestly don't know much about that singer. I really stay out of that part. But yeah, let's have all three of you recap Super Bowl, and then I'll end it with something short. And it is. I know it sounds cliche because it just happened, but it literally is like the worst sport loss I've ever gone through. And I think in some ways it does top Dodgers and Giants a few years ago because at least that one that was so bitter. We all know what happened in the NLDS. At least that one, whoever scored first in each game won that game. So, like I don't care about some check swing like at the end of Game 5. Like literally, whoever scored won that game.
Hold on a minute.
We didn't, you know. But when it comes to this one, it's like a rematch and where we played and I mean, I honestly believe Brock Purdy is like the chosen one for the 49ers more than Jimmy G and Kaepernick. I think we need to keep them. And I think the shortest version is that the overtime rule. You know, whoever scores first wins the game. That's what happened with the Patriots and the Falcons in the Super Bowl. And this time it didn't work out. And I think the NFL screwed us more than anything else. I think that between Patrick trash talking us before the Super Bowl and Kelsey literally yelling and pushing his coach, who is twice his age, and the farthest thing from athletic. The guy's like a fat Santa Claus, walrus looking dude. And
I hope
you have an athlete who's in his 20s, right, late 20s maybe, who's pushing a coach who's in his 50s or 60s is uncalled for in the game. But you know, like there's just so much trash stuff in that's just not classy. But if the overtime rules weren't changed, the 49ers would be tied with your Steelers. That's the shortest version. I think our offense was like an A-, you know, maybe a B+, given who we're playing, and our defense was A+. We had Mahomes shook. I think we did better than the Ravens, who were the 1 seed. I mean, we had them shook for like what 3.5 quarters, 2.5 quarters, and then we got the lead back. And yeah, okay, I kind of ran away with this one, but it's the worst, and they don't deserve it. Like I honestly felt like when it came to, we were the only ones who weren't Ravens that said, yeah, Ravens are going to win the Super Bowl all those years ago, and we were right. And when it comes to a few years ago with Jimmy G, we did a good job, not a great job. We were close, but then we screwed it up with way too much time on the clock. This game, just a few weeks ago, we had it. We literally earned. I didn't feel like we lost the win. We just got screwed over by the NFL rules, and that's just like, I'm not going to swear. That's the most polite way of saying it. And I don't know where to go from here, but hopeless is definitely one way to describe anger, hatred, and I'll never forget my Giants beat the Royals in the 2014 World Series. So at least we got that.
Well, hold on.
Yeah. I tried to make that
when you brought up the Dodger Giant NLDS landing on the check swing, that is bad. When that happens, that is bad for the sport. That was bogus. That was bogus, and you know it. You don't end a game on a check swing, a playoff game.
I never saw that replay. As soon as the umpire said out, I turned off the TV and never watched it.
Now,
I never saw that replay.
with the overtime rule changing for the playoffs, how many times did this happen in the Super Bowl? This is like the second time it's happened.
Right.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing with the rule. Thing with the rule is that rule was implemented at the beginning of the year. It's not like they just did it when overtime started in the Super Bowl, right? That rule was in place. Every single team knew going into the playoffs, this is how it was going to be. And the reason being is because we go back the last couple of years, all those games between the Bills and the Chiefs, right? Josh Allen playing out of his mind, but doesn't get the ball in overtime. And that's why the Bills end up losing. As the Chiefs get down, it literally just takes one possession to get it down there. Yeah, the Bills have been it's been sad because they've been written off so many times based off of that one rule. But having said that, they put this rule up like on the jumbo screen prior to OT. Everybody knew about it. If you don't know how the rules work, a little bit of that falls on the coaching staff. So I'm gonna have to say that.
Agree. I agree.
I will say, if I was the 49ers and if I'm playing it back, it's easy to say this now, right? But if I'm the 49ers and I'm playing this back, I'm giving Kansas City the ball. And the reason I'm giving Kansas City the ball is that when I'm driving down the field on the next possession, because I know I'm going to get it regardless, I know if a touchdown wins it, if a field goal ties it, or if I can go for 2 and go for the win. I have full control. And the 49ers didn't do that. 49ers took the ball, they went down, they kicked the field goal. And really, when that happened, I saw Mahomes and I was like, dude, you're giving this dude way too. The clock doesn't matter. He has the entire possession to drive all the way down there if he wanted to. And it was just really kind of setting up to be, essentially what he's been doing time and time again to the Bills. Drive down there, take full control of it, caught him off guard at the end. A lot of this, it was a good game. I think the 49ers were obviously the better team. I think the Dre Greenlaw injury, I think that hurt a lot because the first half, Mahomes wasn't doing anything. And the second half, Greenlaw goes out on that freak, hopping, getting ready to go in and pops his Achilles.
On a commercial break.
That changed significantly because Mahomes was opened up. I mean, look about it. Kelsey had 1 catch for 1 yard in the first half.
Yeah,
and had,
I think
9 catches. That's never happened before.
Had like 9 catches for 100 yards in the second half. Like he was absolutely shut down. I put all these bets out that Kelsey was going to go off. And I was sweating bullets at halftime. Meanwhile, my kids were making money off squares and Dad was going bankrupt. But besides that, going into all of this, I think it really falls on Shanahan, the play calling in OT. You got to be aggressive. I'm not kicking a field goal there. You're in the red zone. You're pretty close. Give the ball to McCaffrey. Let him do his thing. The fact that McCaffrey only had 80 yards rushing blows my mind. You should have been feeding him the entire game.
The Chiefs' defense was really one of the best defenses. I get that, and I hate saying that, but beat CMC, absolutely agree. I think the biggest player who failed on my team was probably George Kittle. He's one of the biggest ones. They kept saying he wanted revenge. And
well, no. Kittle's different, and we're talking too much about football. But Kittle's different in the sense of Kittle is one of the best tight ends. I think Kittle's better than Kelsey when it comes to all-purpose tight end.
Thank you.
The way he can block, the way he can catch. Kelsey might be a better offensive weapon, but offensive scheming-wise, Kittle can do anything for you, and he can do it at the top of his craft. I think where really the 49ers, and I'll kick it a Q on this, and we can put a bow on it. But I think at the end of the day, what killed the 49ers is A, taking the ball, obviously, but B, dude, those defensive play calls when Mahomes was driving in OT, you were giving him 10. You were in prevent defense, trying to worry about the big play, and Mahomes was just carving you on the 5-10 yard plays and just walking down the field.
Yeah.
Why did you change that?
Yeah, that defense that changed in overtime. Excuse me. That defense that changed in overtime hurt so much because it looked nothing like really all 4 quarters. Yes, I know that they scored a couple times. They finally caught up and had a 3-point lead, and we tied, and we took the lead. I get that, but our defense, pretty much the whole 4 quarters was A+. Minus maybe 1 or 2 plays. And then overtime, they changed it up. And I think, Daniel, you nailed it with – we're going to get to Q real quick. Daniel nailed it with, I think a lot of guilt goes on the coach. And I heard we've been talking to Coach Belichick, but I don't know if that's even going to be a thing. So, I don't know. We'll see. Q, what's your thoughts?
That's the thing with the players, though, is even after the game, they're like, oh, we didn't know the rule change. We didn't know about this. But they admitted it. Said it was on the Jumbotron. They should have known. That's a failure on the coaching staff. Yeah, it was a great game. We can always say, oh, they could have done this differently. But at the end of the day, I think those injuries did hurt them, too, with Greenlaw. I was shocked by that. I'm like, wait, he got injured? What did he do? And then popped his Achilles. But
did the truffle shuffle on the sideline.
I mean, it's unfortunate, but I mean, it happens. But it's also the statistic that came out with Shanahan where when he's the head coach, they don't do well in the Super Bowl. And then I guess over the past 3 years, it's with the Chiefs where they're not getting called for the holding calls on the offensive line. Yeah, it's going to slip through the cracks, but we'll see how it goes next year. I'm excited to.
I'm
Hopefully, Niners back in it. I hope not the Chiefs.
This is what I'm gonna chalk the OT
Heartbroken.
up on. Basically, Patrick Mahomes performed and ran all over the Niner defense into the end zone. That's what that final drive was.
One drive, that's it. Like, or two, just to
But
catch
I think
up.
it was after the Greenlaw, after the injuries that they had, is when it really opened it
No,
up.
Oh,
no,
it completely opened it up.
no, I know,
Completely
but I'm
opened it up.
saying like after the Niners took the lead with the field goal and Patrick Mahomes had the ball, there was that feeling in the air that Patrick Mahomes was gonna get a ball into the end zone regardless. There was no it's like giving Brady the last drive of the game.
Brady, stop it.
I
No,
know,
no.
but I'm saying
Never
like
Brady
he's
beat him.
Mahomes is
he's
getting
not
there. He's getting there.
No, he won't get to Brady's level.
No, he won't. But I'm
Never
saying
will.
he's getting to
Well,
he's still like he's top 5 quarterback in the league. You know what I mean? Like
well, the thing to look at is when you have a quarterback at that level, you don't want to give them the final drive to win it.
that's what I'm trying to get to. It's
yeah. I agree. We screwed that up and too much time on the clock.
because if hold on, but going back to what Daniel was saying, if this was not Mahomes and it was Purdy, and this was the Niners doing the same thing, they probably would have gotten it. Because when you're in that play, when you're in that zone going like, kick a field goal, you're down by a field goal, you need a touchdown to win the game. It's like, all right, let's go, boys. Let's do this. We know what we need to do. There's only one option. We're going to go out there and do it. The Niners defense just choked a little bit on overtime. That's all it was. And I hate to say that word towards your team, but that's what happened.
Well, that was the thing. They were just on the field for the final play before overtime. Then they had to go back out there and they didn't really get a break. Which but
it's like extra innings in baseball. It's it's the same. You don't get a break. You go back out there.
We should have just gave them the football in overtime, because we should have like Daniel said, we should have gave them the football when we won the coin toss in overtime. It would have been a different outcome. I think 49ers would finally tie your Steelers. Keep it classy. Congrats, Detroit. I honestly felt bad. There's very few times in sports I feel bad beating a team. I felt bad beating Detroit, even though it's a rematch no matter who won the AFC Championship.
Green Bay. How can you do that to Eminem? How can you do that to Shady, dude? Put him down like that.
I know. You know how trippy it was growing up with Marshall Mathers and seeing him at my stadium, like against my team. That was just
the fact that you look just like him too.
I used to look.
I mean, there's one more thing I wanted to touch on about the Cowboys. They're apparently the number one sports franchise in terms of value. They're in like the billions now, I guess it was. Be more than the Niners, than the Yankees, the Dodgers. But they haven't won a Super Bowl in what? Since the 90s?
Yeah, 95 for Cowboys, 94 for 49ers.
It's really about brand, and they've been in the billions for a while. I think they're up to probably like 5 or 6 billion. I think last time I looked at one of those, but it's been a minute. But I mean, it's the Dallas Cowboys.
All right, let's.
It's a fun fact, really quick before we disappear. The Steelers were actually supposed to be America's team, and the Steelers declined it, so they gave it to the Cowboys. So the Cowboys are actually a second fiddle to
Why did they decline it? I don't know. I thought
because we ain't America's team. We Pittsburgh's team.
I mean, they might be what? I think another team, right? They're in the talks to that for Pittsburgh.
Who should be America's football team? That should be a trivia question. I don't know.
Carolina Panthers.
Why? Cam Newton is. Ugh.
No, I got a better question. Who is the NFL's evil empire? Now.
Patriots.
Now. Because the Patriots suck.
Chiefs. It's the Chiefs. It's the Chiefs because they have a dynasty going right now.
Yeah.
I mean, they're 2 in the last 3 and.
Okay, but everyone.
3 in the last 4.
A lot of people in America like the Chiefs because
Taylor Swift.
Not me, of course.
Because Taylor Swift.
Well, I was going to say because they're the only team that kept Brady down until Brady went to the Buccaneers. I thought that, and then all of a sudden when Brady left, retired, and then I don't know.
And then they went out of their way and signed Taylor Swift to a 15-year deal.
It's hard to imagine that it's hard to imagine that any team. I mean, it seems like the Patriots are the evil empire, but not even hating on them. You know, like I picked them to beat the Seahawks in the Super Bowl. So.
Right.
I think Pete Carroll picked the Patriots to beat the Seahawks too.
Let's move on from football.
I see what you did there.
Let's get out of this rut. It's a long off season for football. Let's let it rest.
Hopefully 49ers win.
Go Steelers.
Yeah, I have no hope.
Go Steelers.
Okay, no. My 49ers been to 3 Super Bowls since your Steelers been to a Super Bowl, let alone won a Super Bowl, and we just. If y'all win a Super Bowl before we get there. No, I'm not bragging.
No, don't do this. Don't do this.
I'm literally saying, like, we had our chance and we screwed up so many times. It's like, I don't know if it's even meant to be. I hope it is. I hope one day we can finally tie you, but I want to be surprised if you win one before we do. Like, it's just, all right, but.
We need to find a quarterback before we do anything, so.
Yeah, but I mean.
Russell Wilson, baby.
It ain't bragging, bro. Trust me. It's like we get so close, yet we're so far, and we have more playoff wins, more NFC Championship conference.
Look, let's end it. Let's end it on this, okay? Let's end it on this.
Right.
49ers are in the midst of something special. You guys are going to be back. You guys have majority of your guys coming back, with the exception of maybe Ayuk is gone. But majority of your guys are coming back. No. You still can pay people, I think, for another couple of years. I think your window is still another 2 to 3 years, which is great. The Chiefs, on the other hand, they're losing Chris Jones. He's going. I don't think he's coming back to Kansas City. And that's their best player on defense. That's their run stopper. They lose him. He's been out, right? He was oh my gosh, what's it called? He was sitting out the first couple of games in the year, and the Chiefs were getting ran over left and right. So he leaves. Mahomes not going to be able to do this by himself. He's going to need a defense. I don't know what they go from there. Andy Reid's another year older, and that mustache is getting a little bit thicker. So I don't know. But
solid.
You guys will be back. You guys will be back.
This was supposed to be Super Bowl recap, short and sweet, and it turned into a 15-minute discussion.
Yeah, I blame Brett. I blame Brett.
Brock Purdy, my 13 number, got my mother's birthday.
Hey, baseball's back.
Let's
baseball's back. Let's go.
MLB Hot Stove. Hot Stove.
Hot.
Recap and buzz.
Lukewarm.
Way too long since we heard that one. One more time, David.
Hot Stove. Yeah, buddy.
Never gets old. It looks better now that you have a beard.
You can smell the baseball dirt, the chalk, the glove.
Dude, we're all there.
Scruff.
We're all there.
Yeah. My bad. Habit.
You know, 15 years removed from the pulse. You know, stuff happens.
Hey, how do we get to yell at Scott Boras? That's my question. How do we? This guy's ruining the game, man.
Well, hold on. Bellinger re-signed a 3-year, $80 million deal with the Cubs.
Did you see the deal?
No, but every year he has an opt-out for the first 2
years. Exactly. We're gonna have the same situation next year.
But he's off.
He's just getting his $30 million this year.
He's off the board now, because now you only got Snell, Montgomery, and who else?
No, watch what happened with Snell. He's gonna sign after a year. He's gonna opt out.
Yep.
Some
That's
stupid.
what they do, man. That's what they did. Bauer, before he signed his big deal, did that too.
I want to know when is Bauer signing. He needs to come back.
I don't think he's coming back this season. He's done his apology tour, but I don't think owners want to take a chance on him right now because the topic's hot.
Why?
The topic's hot. This is a question for the owners. It's not a question for us.
Well,
we want to see him on a team. We want to see him on a team.
This guy won a Cy Young.
I understand that. So did Blake Snell.
Not too long ago. And this dude can't even get a non-roster invite to spring training.
Hey.
Explain that.
Bro, it's not.
This dude literally said, hey, man.
It's not the fans.
I was making $40+ million a year.
It's not us.
Annually. I'm not even asking for that. I want the major minimum.
League
you can pay me under
owners.
$1 million to pitch for you. And you might get a potential ace or solid number 2 in your rotation. This dude's velocity came back in Korea last year. This dude's hitting 98, 99 again.
Japan.
And no one wants to take a chance because somebody ruined his name. That is a crime.
Well, but even bringing the Red Sox into it, Papelbon offered to cover his salary if it didn't work out for the Red Sox. Because that didn't even do anything.
Papelbon's a
No,
moron.
I know, but still, it's
Papelbon's
like
a dunk.
you have someone who's willing to cover his salary. You can't even sign him. Like he needs to come back.
Well, I do agree with you. It blows my mind that Bauer is out there. I know we're going to talk about our teams later, specifically about the three, and we'll kind of hands on those. Yeah. Angels, what are we doing, dude? Like, you guys really want to roll Patrick Sandoval out there for your opening day start? I don't think so. Ah, man, it's very frustrating.
In my head, it's like
Angels. Go ahead.
Because going back to Trevor Bauer, because if I had any pull in the Yankees ownership and the front office, I would.
Which you don't.
I don't, but there are people like us that root for our teams going, why aren't we signing Trevor Bauer? It's the MLB owners. It's the owners that don't want to get caught up in this stuff. That's why he's not getting any attention. That is the reason. That is legitimately the reason. Apology tour or not. He's a great pitcher. Cy Young winner. But the owners do not want to take a chance on him. That's where it's at.
You know what's crazy to think about? You have three pitchers that are unsigned as of right now. Okay. You have Blake Snell. You have Jordan Montgomery, I think we would all consider is the second best pitcher currently on the market. And you have Trevor Bauer, right? We all hear the reports about Blake Snell asking for $200 million, which it's a totally different story. He's had 2 great years as Cy Young. Look at the other 6.
Terrible.
Dude's mediocre at best. He's a solid 3 or 4, and you're going to give him ace money? I don't know. For me, personally, Blake Snell, you give him 5 years at 25, I don't go anything over, dude. Because go look at his stats. Again, take those 2 Cy Young years out. He's mediocre at best. Jordan Montgomery, kind of the same thing. Trevor Bauer, here's a hot taker here. Trevor Bauer, out of those 3 on his game, is probably better than all of them. And you can get him for pennies.
We know that. We all know that.
Come on, Boris.
We know that.
Wait, we as in
Get
you,
the players
the 3 of you, we as in the 3 of you, or we as in the whole team ownership?
No, we as in us four. Us four know Trevor Bauer still got it.
Right.
And can bring ace caliber stuff to any baseball team.
Okay, now I will say this. On the contrary, he played in Korea.
Japan.
That is nowhere near Major League quality, okay?
Japan.
So, Asia. He might come and get his opportunity and get rocked. It's been a minute since he's seen Major League pitching or Major League hitters. And Major League hitters and Japanese hitters, outside of a few that have already made it over to America anyway, there's a big difference in the two. So, could definitely backfire. But that risk, you're giving him a minimum contract. There is no risk. He's barely hitting your salary cap. If it pans out, you just hit the freaking lotto. If it doesn't, drop him. It's not gonna affect you at all. That's where I'm getting.
Oh, the third Scott Boras.
You're tied up in Snell. You're tied up in Montgomery. I know the other one you're probably going to talk about is Chapman, right?
Yeah, Matt Chapman.
Yeah. So Cal State Fullerton. Sounds good.
So where do you so with Boras deadlocking Snell, Montgomery, and Matt Chapman, where do you think they land? Because we already know Snell, the only offer that they ever got was from the Yankees for 5 years, 150 mil, 160 mil, 100 something, whatever. And we haven't heard anything from Montgomery. Like he wanted to go back to Texas, but Texas is going through their struggles with their TV deal, just like Seattle, with limited spending money. I've heard Angels connected to everybody, but they're not doing anything. Giants, the same thing. Giants are all talk with no. They got what? Soler?
We have Lee Soler, and we brought back the Panda, Pablo Sandoval. I don't know what his age is. He doesn't look as big as he used to.
He's still alive?
Oh, yeah. I think he was playing in Venezuela or maybe Mexico, but either way, he was playing baseball outside of America, and we got the Panda back. And I think that's just, at least mentally and maturity and emotion, I mean, that is a great veteran to have.
He could be that voice that the locker room needs.
So let me
about our coach, but we got a couple of signings here and there. But I mean, the big thing is that the Giants and Angels, and really everyone in the West for NL West, the NL West have to figure out what are we going to do, because it hurts that Ohtani went from your Angels to the Dodgers. It was terrible. It was terrible. Oh. It's the worst. And it's like, yeah, he deserves a ring. We all know that. So does Trout, but
his contract's dumb.
He should have went to any other team.
We don't have enough hours in the day to talk about that contract.
In October.
So I'm gonna defer my breakfast.
Really so here's what I think. If you're asking true landing spots for
Snell,
Blake Snell,
Chapman.
Okay.
The remaining big three.
I think Snell is better off going the same route that the Bellinger did with the whole opt-out thing. Because right now, prove it. People are calling your bluff right now. People don't think you're as good as the 2 Cy Youngs that you got, because you got more seasons that you suck than you do winning the Cy Young. So I honestly think he probably gets a 2 or 3 year deal with an opt-out after the first and the second. I think it's super high. Maybe he's probably going to go to the Yankees. You put him in New York, dude, that rotation gets scary. And he doesn't have to be the ace. He doesn't have to be the number 2.
3.
Like, you put Blake Snell as a 3, that's pretty good, dude.
Yeah.
That's way better than what the Padres were ever throwing out there.
Well, we'll get to that when we get
I got him going to the Yankees. Now again, if the Angels sign him, I won't be sad. I will be sad though if it's like a long-term 5, 6, 7 year that they are just handcuffed to, because those never work out for us. I think Jordan Montgomery goes back to Texas. I still think there's some mutual interest there. I think Texas has been kind of relatively quiet. I think there's a lot of unknown with Jacob deGrom. I know we all forgot about him coming back, but I think they're going to need a little bit of depth.
And Scherzer.
Matt Chapman's a good one. I honestly think Matt Chapman in San Francisco makes a lot of sense. I think you put up him at the Bay, throw him at third base. He's going to be anchoring it down. They don't have Longoria there anymore. I don't even know who their third baseman is. It's not Pablo Sandoval. I can tell you that much.
Where's Panda going?
Panda's going straight to the bench. That's what he's doing. Panda's gonna go warm the food in the cafeteria. So when the game's over, we'll have somewhere to eat. That's what Panda's gonna do.
Pablo Sandoval has to prove himself that he can still produce at the major league level to even be considered on the roster. He got invited to spring training on a minor league deal. It wasn't.
That dude should have never left San Francisco in the first place. He's one of those guys where you leave, you get the big money, you sell yourself out, and then your career just tanks. And that's what happened.
I still remember he went to the Red Sox.
He went to the Red Sox and tanked.
He earned money.
Dude, the Red Sox paid 2 or 3 years where he didn't play at all. He was playing on different teams, and they just had to absorb the contract.
And then we heard Brian Crawford went to the Cardinals, which is just so sad. But I wish him the best, and it is what it is.
And then
hopefully our coach will know how to communicate to our players.
I truly think the best fit for Trevor Bauer would be with the Angels. I think they are very left-handed dependent. I think you got nothing to lose right now. I think your expectations are – they're expected to win 70 games right now. 70. You have Mike Trout and whatever's left of Anthony Rendon still on this team. Like, you should be able to win a few more games than 70. I think Ron Washington is an excellent coach for Trevor Bauer.
Yes.
I think he can get him checked out immediately when it comes to just, hey, focus on the game and keep all the off-the-field stuff out. I think that would be a great fit. I think it obviously frees up a lot of cash, too, still for the Angels to do something. We look at this list. I don't know if you guys have checked out, and this is probably a conversation for a different day, but, if I don't want my team necessarily jumping on big-time deals for these guys, you look at some of these names next year, pitchers specifically in the free agent class, it is absolutely insane. Garrett Cole has an opt-out, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Garrett Cole could be available. Justin Verlander, I know he's getting ready for AARP. Scherzer's the same thing. Corbin Burns is going to be an unrestricted free agent. Shane Bieber, Max Fried, Zach Wheeler, Walker Buehler is going to be a free agent. This place is loaded, absolutely stacked with ace caliber pitchers.
And not even to add Juan Soto.
Yeah. I don't even think, you even look at the relief pitchers too. Kenley Jansen, Ryan Presley, Gallegos, Kimbrel. It's a deep deep free agent class next year. Pete Alonso is going to be available. Like, I don't even know where Blake Snell and Jordan Montgomery slide into those guys. Probably at the bottom. I think everybody I mentioned as far as starting pitcher is better than both of those guys.
Yeah, this year's free agency was pretty weak.
So if I'm, which again, I wouldn't even fault the Angels if they did this. If they just looked at it and said, "Look, we're just gonna see what we got this year. We're gonna let the young guys play. We're just gonna give it our best effort," and then they have a ton of money next year to really go out and get maybe 1, 2. If they get 3 of these dudes, look out! It's a completely different ball.
And we're not even talking about Japanese players that might be posted next year either. So
right.
There's a lot of potential next year. This year was just...
So which, I don't know if it's too early to tell, but between the NL West, AL East, AL West, who really has the toughest division?
AL East. By far.
For sure.
Yeah. AL East by far. And it doesn't help. It doesn't help that the Orioles are absolutely loaded with farm talent either. Like they sucked for so many years, but they got their player development right. And the scary thing is they just sold. Their owner has repeatedly over the years been a cheapskate and has let a lot of talent walk from Baltimore. New ownership comes in.
Machado.
Now you have funds plus a pipeline that's the best in baseball. I mean, they could be the next Houston Astros. They are absolutely loaded. Take the cheating out of that, of course. They are absolutely loaded in Baltimore. They're a scary team to watch, but you got them. The Red Sox somehow always seem to float around. The Rays are always there. The Yankees and Toronto's always there. I mean, you got 5 teams that could potentially be in the playoffs.
Right. So that close matchup is way tougher overall than, my division where which one of us 3 teams can, take down the big bad blue. And that's a fair point. I'm not going to argue that. I'm not going to debate it. It seems like the AL East year after year is as tough and close as it gets. I mean, I remember there were seasons where Yankees were way above 500 with big winning records, and they're in the bottom of the ranks because the AL East is just a huge mountain to climb. Excuse me, I'm getting over a cold.
Well, I think the thing too with the NL West is funny because you're right. It's always the Dodgers, but there's always one team in the NL West that's like giving them a run for their money, right? It was the Giants a couple years ago. The Giants came out of nowhere and won 107 games with
something like that.
Not that great of a lineup, and took it to the Dodgers in the playoffs. Like could have moved on. You got the Diamondbacks last year. Diamondbacks made the World Series. Who had that on their bingo card? That the Diamondbacks were going to make the World Series. I didn't.
No one did.
So
no one had Arizona.
It seems like there's always one, and then the Padres are the Padres. Padres still have a lot of talent. And they lost Soto. They're going to lose Snell. They still got Machado. They still got Tatis. They have talent, and dude, these guys don't mess around.
And they got a stud pitcher in Michael King. He's going to do great over there.
They do. They got a pipeline still. I mean, I know they've depleted it with trades in the past, but they still got a pipeline. And their owner has repeatedly, spent money and has done it wisely. So you're never going to count them out all the way. Rockies, you can pretty much write off right now. But outside of that, it's crazy how the NL works because it's always the Dodgers. They are consistent until the playoffs, but they are consistent. There's always another team that is sneaking in there, which is fun to watch.
And Bruce Bochy's first year back, he wins the World Series. That's crazy. And he goes to Texas, which kind of hurts, but let's move on and all that. But
all right. I know we introed into this a little bit, and Daniel, you talked about it, but we're gonna go Angels off season, and I'll look right now. Let's just talk about the off season beginning.
I don't want to.
Well, I know you don't want to.
Well, so I'm also an Angels fan. My impression is they didn't do anything because Mark Cuban's going to come in and buy the team. I'm still hopeful for that.
Is he?
Hey, you never.
I mean,
unless
Artie Moreno shows up on an episode of Shark Tank, I don't know if it's happening.
Artie Moreno's already stated he's not selling the team again, so I don't know what's going on.
No, but the biggest thing that the Angels screwed up was they should have traded Ohtani during the trade deadline. Because they would have gotten the amount of talent they would have gotten, because he was going to walk anyways. We all knew it. There's no way they were going to keep him. He wants to win.
Well,
I could have refreshed our farm system. But...
I would even take that one step further. I think like we knew going into this whole thing, right? If we did this a year ago, Shohei Ohtani still has a year left on his contract with the Angels. You would have had to been blind to not see on Bleacher Report every other day, oh, Shohei Ohtani's projected 500 million, 600 million. Like, we knew this was going to be the biggest number we've ever seen.
Yeah.
The Angels knew this was going to be the biggest number you have ever seen. If you're already invested that much into it, you keep him at the deadline, like, you should be writing this guy a blank check. At the end of the day, he makes more money off of endorsements than what it's going to take for you to pay him. So yeah, it might seem massive, but your value goes up as a team. All of that comes in. Endorsements are there. It's great, and all that's he's going to make. Artie would have made all that money back if he would have matched that offer. The fact that they probably were in the range of 500-600 million and wouldn't even go to 700 pisses me off even more, because it goes to Q's, whole thing of like, why did it? We knew what was coming. The Dodgers were making moves they were cutting him the blank check. We don't care what it's going to be. We want you in blue. They wanted him when he was trying to pick a team coming out of Japan. They were going to be in it here. They were aggressive for it. And you know what? Applaud them for getting the man that they wanted. The Angels shot themselves in the foot.
What, having a printing money machine? Like, come on. Where do they get all this money? Darn
they're deferring it. It'll be somebody else's problem in 20 years when they sell the team. But where I'm going with all this, I would have probably even thought about trading him last. I mean, could you imagine the haul if you would have traded Shohei Ohtani, who just won the MVP, by the way, last year in the offseason, going into the new year? You could have gotten 9, 10 legit prospects and be set up for success. And now he walked, and you get a second-round pick.
Wow. That's on Artie Moreno, right? If I heard correctly, that's Artie Moreno.
100%. 100%.
Wow.
Well, they probably pitched him like, oh, you get to play with Mike Trout again. You get a chance to win. But they haven't done anything. And this further offseason, they let Ohtani walk and didn't do anything.
Let's
No, I'm
hold
sorry.
on. Let's make
think that's
certain.
the last straw for the Angels to have any faith in Moreno. I think y'all just got to like boycott him. Something.
I haven't had faith in him in 10 years.
Let's make certain.
True.
That if Ohtani gave the same deferred BS contract,
he did.
To
100% he did.
To every team.
He did.
Not to every team, because the Yankees.
But no one wants to take that chance.
He axed the Yankees and said, "You pay me money."
Done it to the Yankees because he didn't want to go to the East Coast. I get that side. I 100%. I 100% believe that he gave the Angels the exact same play that the Dodgers had. He probably gave it to the Giants too.
But the Angels don't have the spending cash that the Dodgers have, though, apparently.
You don't need, if you're deferring all that money, why do you care? You know what would have been the smartest thing for Artie Moreno to do? You announce that you sign that guy. You announce that you sign Shohei Ohtani. Okay. Whatever that number, 7, 6, whatever. Give him the money. Okay. He is now a part of your team for the next 10 years. Don't worry about the deferrals. He's part of your organization, which means he's bringing all those endorsements, right? For the next 10 years, all these, you're locked in. The next day, if I'm Artie, that team is up for sale, because what I just did is I boosted my value significantly as a franchise. Whoever's buying the Angels, you're going to have a unicorn on your team for the next 10 years. Not just a unicorn on the field, but a unicorn in revenue.
Oh.
That booms your profitability. He bought this team. He bought the Angels guys for under $1 billion. He bought them for a couple million back in the early 2000s, and had a deal on the table from some group from Japan for $3 billion, and said no. Wow. Do you think if he were to pick up that phone right now and call that same group, you think he's getting $3 billion?
Hell no.
I don't. He might get 1. The Baltimore Orioles just sold for $1 billion. He is not getting that anymore. He shot himself in the foot. He's in it. Well, I have no idea why he's still an owner. And it is frustrating as an Angel fan, because, yeah, has he done stuff in the past to try to win? Absolutely. If we want to go back in time, I'm not blaming him on Hamilton. I'm not blaming him on Pujols. He signed Mike Trout. I'm not really blaming him on Rendon. I think that's a Rendon issue. CJ Wilson gave us a couple good years. He brought Vlad, so if you want to go even before that, like he did a lot of really good signings and stuff. It's just it hasn't worked out lately. What you're doing is not successful, and you're trying to go like look at the Angels they weren't even in the wild card with the trade deadline. I think they were probably the 4th team out, right? So they were kind of like teetering, but they didn't have a definitive path to get in, and all of a sudden they just went all in.
Yeah.
And they were a 500 team, and that didn't make any sense at all.
Well, hold on.
What are we doing?
The Yankees did the same thing, and they ended up in the same thing, in the same spot.
Well,
so.
what they should have done during that time was trade Ohtani, get those prospects, and then do something this year. But they haven't even done anything in the offseason. It's like,
well,
what the
it's
hell's
not
gonna
that
happen?
they haven't done anything. They made moves to the bullpen and signed some wonky starting pitching and relief pitching, and never addressed any of the holes in the lineup.
So here's their plan. Their plan right now is to shorten the games up. So their plan right now is to have a loaded bullpen, get 1 or 2 rounds out of their starters, and really kind of kick it to the guys on the back end of the bullpen to close out every single game. It's fine. I understand that strategy. However, you are going to burn your bullpen on a night in and night out basis. Your starting pitching group, guys, these are the names of actual starting pitchers that are going to be pitching this year for the Angels. And I want you to let me know if you have ever heard of them. Griffin Canning is going to be probably the 3. Reed Detmers is the 2. Patrick Sandoval is the 1. Chase Silseth is probably going to be, I don't know, the 4, the 5. That doesn't scare me one bit. And you're very left-handed, like just prominent.
Tyler Anderson.
You got a whole bunch of 3s and 4s. You got a whole bunch of 3s and 4s, and you're just throwing them in slots and seeing what sticks. I think Reed Detmers is the best out of all of them. I think he can take a next step. So is he an ace? No, I don't think so. I haven't seen enough yet. He's too inconsistent.
Sign Trevor Bauer.
So you're saying Angels are putting more money into their pitching and not their hitting? Is that what you're saying, Daniel? But then they're
putting too much. They're putting too much focus. I understand the strategy. Okay, we need pitching. Relief pitching is pitching. Okay, they throw balls. They just do it differently. Okay, so I understand that, and I'm totally cool with that. They got some weapons. They got some absolute flamethrowers in that pen, and it's more power to you. And at the end of the day, if they're out of contention, pen arms are usually a lot easier to flip at the deadline anyway, so you can get some more prospects, reload. Makes a ton of sense. Which kills me is you just lost an ace. Shohei Ohtani was the ace of the staff. You lost him and you didn't fill it. You did not
Probably
fill that
the biggest
void.
loss in Angel history. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to.
You didn't lose just an ace, though, guys. You lost arguably your best hitter as well in the DH spot.
You lost Babe Ruth. You lost your Babe Ruth. I can't even.
I pulled up the projected 2024 starters. It's Detmers at 1, Canning at 2, Sandoval at 3, Anderson at 4, and Silseth at 5.
Yeah, and Anderson's just a joke. Like if I'm the Angels,
ex-Dodger,
Anderson is a long.
No, David,
I put him in the bullpen.
He's the ex-Dodger.
Well, it's kind of that like Rays effect, right? Where pitchers go to Tampa Bay and they become great, and then they leave, they get paid.
I think the lineup can produce, though. I think the lineup can produce.
Oh, that's where signing Bauer comes in. You could slot him in there. Yeah, you know.
Dude, you sign Trevor Bauer, you slot him number 1. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the lineup, it's got promise, but
Bauer's better than all of those.
Trout needs to be healthy. He's been having injuries the last couple of years.
Look at that lineup, guys.
How many years?
Mike Trout's in the 3 hole. Okay. Who's in the 4?
Rendon.
You think so? I think Rendon's probably going to be down to the 5 or the 6 spot if he plays.
The projected lineup is Moniak leading off. Nolan
Shanuel.
That guy, number 2. Trout 3, Rendon 4, Ward 5, Drury 6, Rengifo 7, O'Hop 8, and Neto 9.
So you got so with all of that, right? I think Neto's great. I think I think O'Hoppe is going to have a big year. I really like what I see. Every time I told Blake this, every time I see Logan O'Hoppe, I see a lot of Buster Posey. As a young Buster Posey, dude is a field general. He's got pop. He's got a really good bat.
I think David said that too. Yeah.
Neto's got a good glove. Neto's got a good bat. Absolutely. And they got Mike Trout. So up the middle, they're set for years. Second base is a concern. Brandon Drury, I don't know if I want to play that game. Anthony Rendon, bro, you don't exist to me until I see a full season you play ball. Because right now you're just stealing money from the Angels.
Well, then I'm trying to remember the lineup. Hang on.
So outside of Trout, you have no protection at all.
So should you put Trout fourth, and then Hoppe third, or something like that for cleanup? Shouldn't that be a better to get more runs on the board?
No, I don't think Hoppe's not there yet.
I say cut your losses with Rendon and sign Matt Chapman. Matt Chapman is instant protection to Mike Trout.
And Rendon's got an attitude problem.
Even though, or even then, slot Rendon in DH role and have him just bat if he doesn't want to field and play half-ass, you know.
I don't even think he wants to bat. I don't think he wants to do anything.
He doesn't want to live. He just wants to.
Dude, put him on the bench. He doesn't want to play.
He's another
guy.
On the bench. He's another guy. You don't have an episode. Yeah. You don't have an episode long enough where I can talk about Anthony Rendon and the frustration. Oh my gosh, he probably won't. He won't even do that because it's not important to him. It's not important to him. Yeah, dude, is man. He's just.
Have him sell peanuts in the stands or something.
All right, let me ask you this question. Out of the three, well, if you want to include four, if you want to include Trevor Bauers, who do you think the Angels actually sign out of the remaining free agents? Because they're connected to all of them. Because Mike Trout's like, hey, get the ball rolling here. We need to sign somebody.
So here, you want my honest opinion?
Yeah.
I don't think they do anything. I don't think they sign any of them.
Yeah.
Really?
They're gonna roll them in the season with what they got. It's gonna be a very painful year. I would not be surprised at some point midway through the season we get a alert that says Mike Trout's requesting a trade. And you know what? If I'm Perry Manazian, I am calling Philadelphia and I'm saying, how do we get Mike Trout over here? How do we get him home? That is the least you can do for this man who signed a contract and has given you blood, sweat, and tears for the last 12 plus years.
Yeah,
it's not his fault. It's a team sport,
right? I thought from New
Jersey.
It's a team.
Send him to the East Coast. I don't care. Literally sit down with Mike Trout and say, "Hey, Mike, what team do you want to go play for? What team do you think has the best chance? Just pretend he's a free agent."
He goes to the Phillies. That Phillies lineup is scary.
That is the absolute least that the Angels could do to Mike Trout. The fact that he hasn't done that yet is a freaking miracle.
He's ride or die.
I mean, you guys saw when he talked about loyalty, then Stephen A. Smith called him out for it. Like, that guy played one game.
Stephen A. Smith should not be talking baseball, period. He shouldn't be talking baseball, period. He's really good at basketball and he's really good at football. Stick with those two sports. No, you're not down and outs, bro. Stephen A. Smith, you're more like down and hoops.
Stephen A.
You ain't down and outs.
Cowboys.
Down in nets.
It's like he knows baseball. No, he ain't.
Down in nets.
Nah, he's just
I agree with Daniel. They're not going to do anything. I want them to sign Bauer, but they're not going to do it. They're just going to hope for the best, and we're going to tank and hope maybe trade Mike Trout.
Super Mark Cuban swings in.
Another tough name that's out there that I know that they've been connected to, but I don't know how I feel on it, is JD Martinez. You lose Shohei Ohtani. You have a DH spot that is now flexible. You haven't had flexibility in that spot in a long time. Do you go and get that bat, but you're still right-handed bat? Like, it's not a lefty bat. I think Bellinger would have played a little bit better role there. But do you go get JD Martinez, or do you keep that DH spot open for a Trout Rendon rotation so that you could potentially keep them off their feet a little bit?
I would do that, Trout Rendon DH.
Dude,
but
honestly,
it's all going to come down to how many games Rendon plays.
That's gonna be the factor on this lineup. But if you're looking at it, I think this lineup, if Rendon is not being a little B, I think this lineup produces and contends a little bit. Like, because Moniak's a beast, like you said. O'Hoppe is a beast.
Moniak's not going to start, more than likely. Moniak's going to be a platoon outfielder with Joe Adell, more than likely. So you're going to have that leading off. Shanuel, I liked a lot, but it's a small sample size. Keep in mind, this guy just got drafted, got called up a month later. and is an absolute hit machine. We'll see if the power develops, but dude makes a lot of contact. So that's a good spot in the 2. You got Trouty in the 3. You have nobody defending him. Trouty's going to be walking more than Richard Simmons on a treadmill. It's going to be absolutely insane. You're going to have Rendon. Rendon hasn't played a full year since COVID, and COVID wasn't a full year.
Yeah.
So think about that for a second.
So
Brandon Drury, I don't know, man. I don't know what I see. I like O'Hoppe. I like Neto. And Hefo's probably going to be in there a little bit. And Ward's coming off. Dude, this dude took a fastball off the face in Toronto and broke his jaw. You can't tell me there's going to be a little adjustment period to that. Taylor Ward's a beast when he's on. But he's also had some years getting up to there where he hasn't been on. And it's been painful. So
my question is,
I don't know.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, go ahead, Blake.
So, Blake.
This is like a crazy theory. It may not make any sense at all. But if you remember, was it 2019? Maybe a few years before that. Nationals got rid of Bryce Harper because they couldn't get it done. Harper went to the Phillies. Nationals go to the World Series, down 3-1 to the Astros, come back and win it. Is that possibility there for the Angels where, okay, we don't have Ohtani, but we can still prove we can get it done, and everyone's going to doubt us, and we're going to pull off like a wild card miracle or something close to that?
I don't think that is a predictable. I don't think that's a. I mean, I think they were living under the shadow of Ohtani for 6 seasons.
6? Yeah. Wow.
Was it 6 seasons there?
Time flies by.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's the thing where people are frustrated because it's like you wasted 6 years of Ohtani. You wasted those also 6 years with Trout, didn't do a damn thing.
A decade.
Then you had like if Rendon played, I think they would have been in a different spot if he actually played.
So here's the big reason. Here's the big issue with the Angels, and I'll end it on this if we want to go to the next team because I'm ready to bash on the Giants or the Yankees.
We'll go to the Yankees.
But the Angels have the same issue that my Pittsburgh Steelers have. They're a 500 team. And that is the absolute worst spot you can be as a franchise. Because you're not good enough to win a championship or do anything when you get there, but you're not bad enough to tank. You're kind of just stagnant, right? And you feel like you have hope sometimes. That's why you kind of just stay there, but it fades out. So then you kind of drop back. Like that is the issue here, is that whoever's in charge of the Angels, they need to wake up. Okay, get a strawberry Pop-Tart going, some coffee, throw it down, and realize that we are not good right now and that we need to get better. And the only way to get better is through getting younger, cheaper, better player development, and we need to focus on that. And how do you do that? You tank. Look what the Houston Astros perfected. They were atrocious in the early 2000s. They had first picks for like 4 or 5 consecutive years.
June 13th.
And who were those first picks, guys? Who were those number 1 picks? They were George Springer. They were Carlos Carrera. Like, they were able to literally pick and choose any young guy coming into the game and create this absolute monster that is still running freaking wild today. Yeah. The Angels need to do that. Yeah. We are not contending for crap this year. You want to contend? Contend next year. Tank this year. Let's work on player development. Let's get the young guys out there and spend all your money. Because we know Artie will spend. That is a given.
Well,
does he spend it wisely?
With that good plan, Daniel, that's a good plan to like tank it and then rebuild. How would you rate like a school grade? How would you rate the Angels farm system? Because that sounds like that's what you need. A great farm system.
The Angels farm system is one of the worst in baseball.
Oh, jeez. Well, then
it's one of the worst.
Where's the solution?
The only guy I think that they have outside of Shanuel, which he's technically a prospect, but he's going to make the opening. He's going to be the opening day first baseman. The only other guy, they have an 18-year-old from Cuba who's a stud, but he's in lower A ball. And outside of that, anything. Their top 2 prospects, they shipped off for Lucas Giolito, who they cut a month later.
Yeah.
Y'all need a new owner. Absolutely.
Their moves aren't making any sense at all. They need to completely just burn the team. Get rid of Trout, sell off all your parts, keep the young guys, and try to piece together something that you can see in 5 or 6, 7 years.
And that's the issue I have with Moreno is he will spend money, but when he does, it's always on bats. The last time he spent money on a pitcher was T.J. Wilson. Those big ass contracts he gives to batters, Rendon, and it necessarily doesn't really work out for us when we need pitching help. Yeah. I think he just needs to tell the team, right? Still fingers crossed for Mark Cuban, but we'll see.
Hey, in all reality, we don't know. There's a lot of expectations and what we can predict and like what we're gonna see with what we're looking at here. But I mean, hey, the Angels could pull a Giants miracle run and do it. We don't know. I'm not giving them the benefit of the doubt because I like the lineup. Rotations.
If you want to go to Bauer, that's fine. But don't get Snell. Don't get Montgomery. Don't get locked into these contracts. Next year's the year to do it. You want to get locked into a contract? Do it next year. Go get a Max Fried. Go get a Corbin Burns. You get those two dudes and put in that rotation. Different ball game. Different ball game. But it's not happening this year. Snell's not moving the needle. Montgomery's not moving the needle. You want to get Bauer and find some loyalty there, so then he'll re-up if he is good, and that's totally fine. Or flip him and get a bunch of prospects halfway through the season because he's dirt cheap. But so be it. That's totally fine. But it's very frustrating to me.
All right, let's move on to the Yanks. The Yanks.
Do you have another Yankee jersey? Maybe I can just join you.
Yeah, hey, I do.
At this point, I don't
about
if you come
slimmer.
Yeah, Stanton's a string bean. I don't know what happened. He's a lean bean. I don't know. He took what Brian Cashman told him, said about him in an interview.
He's not using A-Rod's locker anymore. That's why.
So the Yankees pretty much started their offseason for trading for Soto. They gave up a couple prospects. Gave up. I love Michael King. I hope he does well in San Diego.
Oh, he will. He will.
But got a stud outfielder for a year. We traded for Verdugo. We got Trent Grisham also with that deal. Signed Marcus Stroman. I'm kind of questionable on that signing because I'm like, I don't.
What's your rotation right now? What's your rotation look like?
From 1 to 5, it is Cole, Rodon, Stroman, Schmidt, and then Cortez. Cortez is coming off a terrible year. He's injury plagued. We already
so
know
realistically,
Rodon needs to figure his crap out.
If you guys were even in on Snell's maybe even your 4.
For sure. And honestly, with
that's deep.
If we get
that is deep.
Even then, like I'm not even gonna rule out Montgomery because Montgomery is still a possibility. Montgomery's pitched for the Yankees.
I think Stroman's going to do well. Garrett Cole always does. The biggest question mark is going to be Rendon, right? Yeah. Are you able to get the Carlos Rendon of the Chicago White Sox and the Giants? Like, can we get that guy, please, who's making all this money? I think if you do,
hoping
that's as deep as a rotation as there is. I still think Atlanta's probably deeper, but New York's pushing a pull there.
Atlanta's a deep team. Yeah.
Atlanta's stupid deep.
Yeah. I was thinking, like, what team would sink the farthest if we had a prediction from the AL, the NL, the AL? Who would? I'd like to see the Astros just completely
who would
tank.
sink? I mean, AL. Who sinks every year immediately? Oakland.
That would be nice to see.
Let's be real here. Oakland.
You can't sink when you're already at the bottom of the ocean, David.
You could sink. You could sink into the tectonic plates.
So bad. So I think I'll take a stab at this first. I think I like what the Yankees did. I think Juan Soto in New York is going to go ballistic. I think he's going to probably have anywhere from 40 at minimum, 40 home runs, 100, 110 RBIs. Like, he is going to treat that right field porch like
his bread and
an
butter.
ex-girlfriend. Like it's going to be insane to watch. And I think he might be one of the best 1-2 punches between him and Aaron Judge from the left and right side, just raw power. It's dirty. I think there's a lot of question marks in the lineup, right? You're another year older. What are we going to get from Gleyber Torres going into a final year?
Contract
what
year,
are
yeah.
we going to get from DJ LeMahieu after signing that deal? Does he still have that 300 average in the tank, or are we wasting it there? Volpe, what are you going to do? You're going to take a jump, or what's happening here?
Year 2.
So got some question marks. Got some question marks, but your pitching will keep you in games, no doubt. 100%. I think Stroman was an excellent signing. I think him as a 3 is filthy. You know what you're going to get with Cole. Yeah, Michael King leaves. That's going to hurt a little bit, but your guys' pen's pretty deep. And I think if you guys are in the running for either a Montgomery or Snell, and you get one more, and that pushes Schmidt to the pen.
Honestly,
Mhm.
I was gonna talk about this. Is if we get Snell or Montgomery, I honestly feel like Cortez would do better coming off a terrible season and injury-plagued season because of the longevity of the shoulder injury or the strain or whatever he had in his pitching arm. I think that nasty stuff that he can throw, if coming from the bullpen, because Schmidt learned a lot last season and ended up in the tail end. He ended up doing better, but him and Cole were like that. So I'm hoping Schmidt's a little better, and I feel like Schmidt would be more consistent because he's never hurt. You know, the 2-3 years that he's been a bullpen piece or part of the rotation, the tail end of the rotation, he's never been hurt. He just needed to develop his stuff more. You know, he's got a nasty slurve that his K rate's there, but he leaves stuff up hanging, and that's what gets crushed.
The Yankees' number one enemy is the Yankees.
Yes.
So if you can overcome that, I think you guys are set.
So the
tough division, always a tough division. So that always, tends to play out here. But you got a rotation that I think can get you in. And once you're in, you get a ticket to the dance, anything's possible. So I think you guys got a legit shot to at least making the playoffs this year.
Projected lineup. So obviously this is going to change because of the amount of lefties and righties that we have on the roster now. We have a surplus of lefties now, which is great. But our projected lineup is DJ leading off, as everyone has stated that DJ needs to, for him to be healthy again and producing, he needs to be at the top of the lineup. You got Soto batting 2, Judge batting 3, Rizzo batting 4th, Torres batting 5, Verdugo 6, Stanton dropped down all the way to 7. So that tail end of the order power, and then you got Volpe and then Austin Wells. Now Austin Wells and Trevino are gonna go to the. I think that's a pretty good.
Whatever.
That's a pretty good catching tandem. I'm just saying. But I like this lineup, and I feel like you said, like that 2 through, honestly, that 2 through 5 is gonna pummel.
It's
pitching.
A lot of again, if I'm trying to find a flaw, it's a lot of power. I don't know if it's too much power. Like how a lineup needs to have some balance. You got to have some speed. You got to have some contact hitters. You got to have some guys that are at least just put the ball in play. There are probably half your lineup, dude, where these dudes are taking massive cuts, and that ball is either going into the catcher's mitt or 500 feet over the wall.
Yeah.
And I feel like that might be, if you guys start getting one-dimensional, that might hurt a little bit. But you are loaded. I think top to bottom.
I think the key thing for the lineup, DJ needs to stay healthy. He needs to stay producing. Rizzo coming off some injuries last year with concussions and whatnot. He's, that's a freak thing that happens. But I feel like if he's consistent, that's easily 20, 25 homers season. He's a hit machine. Torres is a hit machine. He was number 2 last year behind Aaron Judge in all offensive category. Verdugo was a stud in Boston, bringing him here, batting at like I said, the tail end of the lineup, getting on base for Stanton to try to do something, even though Stanton's K rate's probably going to be there again this season. Let's be real here. Just because you lean down doesn't mean you're going to be the best hitting machine in the world. Volpe, year 2, he's got a lot to prove because he's coming off a year where his errors were up defensively a little bit. And his offense.
David, who's your biggest threat? Who's your biggest threat
in the AL East?
in general? Yeah, we'll start at the East.
The Orioles.
Probably gonna worry
I
about
feel
them home.
I feel like the
I
Orioles
think we
are
said the Orioles, right?
the
Or
Orioles
the
are
O's?
the only team. Like, I think it's going to be a shootout between the Yankees and the Orioles for the AL East because Boston, what have they done? And they've lost a lot, and they're going to be bottom sellers.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay, they're going to drop off, and Toronto doesn't feel like the Toronto of where they get all these names in the beginning, where they had
I'm still there.
that offensive juggernaut. I mean, Vlad's still there. They don't have Chapman no more. They still have the guy with the B, the hair
The baby.
band. I forgot his name. Second baseman.
What?
I forgot his name.
Bo?
Yeah, Bo Bichette. There you
Bichette?
go. But they got
like a
question
Star
marks.
Wars
They got
guy.
question marks,
I don't know
and
nothing about Star Wars.
their
Boba Fett.
their rotation
Does that sound
and
like
their
a Star
pitching.
Wars guy? I don't know nothing about
Yeah,
Star Wars.
Boba Fett.
They're-
What's his name?
Boba Fett and Boba Fett.
Toronto's bullpen and rotation are very hittable in the AL East. I feel like the only two teams that are going to be neck and neck for first and second and going to be in the playoffs, I'm calling it, the Yankees and the Orioles. Doesn't matter who wins, but both those teams are going to be in the playoffs.
Tampa's gonna make it too.
No.
I think they'll be three.
No,
Tampa always.
Dude, who do they have for pitching?
Doesn't matter. They could take somebody from the streets and turn him into a Cy Young candidate.
Crackhead Steve?
That's what they do. Yeah. Crackhead Steve's about to be on the trophy.
Throwing 100-mile-an-hour
No,
slurves.
I agree with you. The Orioles really scared me. Like I said, they just sold. They're gonna have a new owner a little past opening day.
Yeah, they're loaded.
This team was great last year, and now they just got Corbin Burns. Like
they have a legitimate ace on their team this year.
legit.
To stable
and they got
down.
Jackson Holiday coming up at some point.
Yeah,
like
Orioles are scary.
It's filthy.
But that's
But you know what? Good for them, dude. They sucked for so long, but I'm happy for them.
And the Yankees talk short and sweet. Dude, I mean, I'm not happy for the O's, but it's nice to see.
Oh, this is dope. This is what I should have done. See the mountain right there? There we go. Never mind. Go ahead.
It's nice to see. It's nice to see another team from the Orioles being a bottom seller in the cellar for so long, coming back and not. They don't have these big free agent names. They have just homegrown talent that are carrying that lineup and that rotation to unbelievable heights right now. You got Henderson and all these guys that are mad producing for this team. So and they're all budget players right now. They're all homegrown players. So it's like Daniel stated earlier, it's like their farm system is one of the best in baseball, and this lineup proves that, But
yeah.
All right. Yankees talk short and sweet.
Good amount right there. It just
covered all the basics.
By far the toughest division.
All right.
I think that's a very valid point.
All right, Blake.
But at least it's fair. I mean, NL West ain't fair.
Giants offseason 2024 outlook.
Oh boy. Well, it's not the same as the Angels, but it's kind of the same. Like we don't have that whole Ohtani situation. I think that Solara. Oh my God, I forgot his name.
Let me run through the lineup real quick. The projected lineup.
Go ahead.
We got Jung Ho Lee leading off.
There we go.
Jung Ho Lee.
I have his stats here in just a second here. Hang on.
Who is
it?
No,
Jung Ho Lee?
I
think he's from
projected stats is he's gonna hit 10 homers apparently. 62 RBIs, 70 runs.
Projected stats don't mean
okay, all right. Well, I don't have his stats from. He's from the Korean Baseball League. He's from the Korean Baseball League.
I got 12 home runs, 84 runs, 34.
So you're atypical leadoff hitter.
2B. Averaging 291, OBP 354.
Typical leadoff hitter.
That's my little research.
Okay. What else do you have?
You got Estrada too.
It ain't much else. I mean, I think the big win is we got rid of our coach.
Estrada,
that's the bottom line. We got a new coach.
Estrada's batting second. Lamont Wade is your 3. Soler is your 4. the big signing. Conforto is your 5. Wilmer Flores is your 6. Yastrzemski is your 7.
Yeah.
Patrick Bailey, catcher, is your 8. And Marco Luciano is your 9, who's a shortstop.
Ooh, that sounds mostly good. I might just replace Luciano with someone
And
else.
these batting averages are horrendous.
Is that bad?
Yeah.
Yeah. Make sure to put my show settings on easy.
And I feel like the Giants are kind of in the Angels' boat when it comes to their rotation and their lineups. Is that they're just gotta have to prove themselves to figure it out, you know, until the Giants can sign somebody. I mean, obviously they got Soler, they got Jung Ho Lee, but where's the pitching? Because their projected starting rotation right now is Logan Webb is your 1. Kyle Harrison is your 2. Don't know who that guy is. Jordan Hicks is your 3.
Hicks?
Transitioning from relief pitcher to starter. Tristan Beck is your 4. And then Keaton Wynn is your 5. You got Logan Webb.
I don't even know half the words.
Yeah, it's like you know 2 of the 5 projected. So you got Snell and Montgomery on the market. Giants, do something. You sign one of those, number 1.
It's the same thing though, dude. I don't think those 2 guys, Snell or Montgomery, if you put them with the Giants, to make them better, yes. Does it move the needle? I don't know. All due respect, dude. Dodgers are the Dodgers, right? Everyone's looking up at them. I think the Diamondbacks are number 2 in that division.
Yeah,
because they just made the World Series. And they smacked the Dodgers around in the playoffs to get there.
Swept them.
Where does that?
Thank you, Arizona.
Like between
and then you got the Padres,
Giants
still the
and
Padres.
the Padres, like I think it's the Padres. Like I think they just have more overall talent. So then that puts you guys. I think you guys are better than the Rockies, obviously. So that puts you in 4th. But it's like
right.
Even if you add Snell or Montgomery or anybody else who's left, even Chapman, it doesn't move the needle. Like the Padres are the Padres. They still have Tatis and Machado.
It moves
who are pretty pitching? Legit. Yeah.
No.
It doesn't
for pitching, and SF was known.
They got Musgrove, they got Darvish still.
But our offense
you got a couple.
There. That's
you
what
got
I
a
agree
couple
on with
rookies.
David. Their offense isn't there. I think it's like the old golden saying of keep your expectations low so you don't get severely disappointed. It's at least a decent place to start as a fan. I think that it looks like oh my god, my mind's drawing a blank. The new coach we got, Bob. Oh my god. Okay. Anyways, the new coach we got, he's like, let's just try something new in the beginning. Bob Melvin, thank you. He's like, let's just try something new. If it doesn't work out, it's April, not a big deal, or spring training, whatever, not a big deal, and try to move it around. I think those pitchers would help us out, but you still get back to we need to get them, and we haven't got them, and it's almost like we're almost as bad as the Angels, where we just can't get the big signings, and we have huge rivals in our division. Both Angels and Giants have that. I think that we need at least one. Oh my kidding, probably 2 more big bats, and that's presuming like Sandoval can actually show up. He's still got to prove it. It's been all these years. He hasn't been in major leagues in a long time, but he still knows how to play the game essentially at a base level. But I think that the Giants are literally, in short, hunting for a wild card. I mean, you got the Padres. They beat the Dodgers a couple years ago. Arizona beat the Dodgers last year.
It's a different team, but yeah.
It is. I don't know if the Central and the East is like exactly right now, but it's like we have to get a lot of signing just to even hunt for the wild card. Because because it seems like the Padres or Arizona has a better chance of fighting against the big bad blue. And I mean, I can see Arizona starting strong in the beginning or ending strong, but for any team to repeat, to do something as unique as Arizona did, is very rare. So I'm not saying Arizona's going to have a bad year. I think they can have a many months of doing good this season, but they're probably not going to repeat. And don't get me wrong. I'm congrats to Arizona, did an amazing job, but right now, from that lineup, it just sounds like we're just hunting for the wild card. It really does. Go ahead.
All right, we
No,
got.
I mean, I think just add into that too.
Oh yeah, trivia.
The other thing outside of that you don't have is that you have Wisenhunt, and you have oh my gosh, what's the other guy? Harrington. You have a couple prospects, pitching prospects from the left side that are pretty legit. So I think if they come into play, I think that definitely pushes you guys up a little bit, and you guys can establish something kind of like Logan Webb coming onto the scene a few years ago. But yeah, you guys are with us. I mean, it sucks, but it's essentially we got a lot of teams in front of us in a crowded division, and who are better. I think the Mariners, the Astros, and the Rangers are all better than the Angels. So I feel like we got to come to a decision here as far as what we're doing as a team. We're going to spend. We're going to build prospects. What are we going to do? Can't do both though, because what we're doing is not working.
Yeah. Slow and steady wins the race. Don't get too excited. Don't just pace it out and just be roughly 500. Oh, my ear. Right. Damn it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna move on to one. I know this is underrated trades and signings around the league, but I'm gonna ask everybody one underrated or overrated signing or trade that has happened in the offseason so far for any ball club.
Oh man.
And don't say Panda.
I think I'm taking marketing out of it. I'm talking purely statistical baseball, what you're going to get from this guy at the later stage of his career. I think this contract with Shohei Ohtani is going to be looked at as very overrated. I don't think he's pitching much longer than a few years. He's had his second Tommy John. He throws absolute gas and he throws a splitter. It's a matter of time before that thing snaps for a third time. He's probably done after that. So you're going to be paying a man to DH for you. DH. All you do is swing a bat.
Years.
You're going to pay him $70 million a year for at least half those 10.
Yeah.
I think that it's we give the Angels crap for Albert Pujols because they paid him $25 million at the end of his career when he was 40. $70 million for a guy who is just going to swing the bat at some point for multiple years. That's very overrated. I love Shohei to death. I think he's going to do great. I hope he gets a ring at some point. He has to. Otherwise, the Dodgers are going to get blasted. But it's overrated. I mean, I don't know if anybody's worth $700 million.
Yeah. I agree with that one for overrated. I think a risk factor could be Panda. If he doesn't be his gold himself, he doesn't,
You still went Panda. You still went Panda.
I hope he's not overrated. Underrated. Oh, I'll go with Lee for my Giants. I'll go with that for underrated. But then again, I've looked at every single trade. That's y'all the experts on that one. Q, what you say?
With Daniel Ohtani, at least from my perspective, though, the Dodgers have to win multiple World Series. For this to pan out. They have to. Not only that, but when Ohtani pitches next season, you don't know what you're going to get. You don't know if he's going to be the same, if he's going to have to not even be a starting pitcher. You just don't know. I don't think it's going to plan out. I mean, I love him. I wish he would have stayed with the Angels, and maybe some bias, but I don't think it's going to work out. He's not worth that much.
My overrated signing is Yamamoto. The reasoning behind this is because you brought up Trevor Bauer and pitching in Japan and not seeing MLB pitching. Yamamoto gets a fat 10-year, $300 million contract from the Dodgers.
He hasn't thrown a ball.
That's why I am calling it an overrated contract.
When you go based off ratings,
I honestly think
he's dirty though. I've seen videos.
He's dirty. He can throw his stuff, but I'm telling you that this MLB is not Japan, and he's gonna be lit up like a Christmas tree. I have that feeling. Because even then, Ohtani's great. He still gets lit up. So what's your point? You spend all this money again. The Dodgers U.S. Treasury machine in their basement, making all this money, and signing these guys. And Yamamoto, I think he's overrated. I think it's overrated. I think it'll pan out for a couple of years, but he is not holding a sub-2 ERA at all. Sorry.
When you compare the Angels and Dodgers, there's so much pressure on Ohtani now that he's on a team that can go to the playoffs, even though they always choke. Yep. And he has other different talent around him, a whole new ball club, whole new scenery. I mean, yeah, you have the Subway Series. I get that. But that aside, there's just so much pressure on him that if he hasn't gone through something like that before, he's probably not going to choke. Like, I just wish he went to a different team to win a World Series. It doesn't have to be my team. It can be, pick a random team like the Brewers or something. But no, I think there's too much pressure on Ohtani on top of all those great stuff you mentioned. That it's just overrated.
My last one, underrated, is the Corbin Burns train. I think Corbin Burns completely changes that rotation for the Orioles, and they are going to be a juggernaut for this year. And like I said, they are either finishing first place, they are getting into the playoffs. There is no getting away that they are getting into the playoffs. And
who?
The Orioles. They are getting into the playoffs and either winning the division or number 2.
I'll see if I can remember that come late September.
My underrated move, I'm going to go on the trade market too, but since you picked Corbin Burns, I'm going to go Chris Sale. I think you putting Chris Sale with the Atlanta Braves, like I talked about a little earlier. Strider, Fried, Morton, Chris Sale, like that is deep.
Braves are nasty.
Those are all former aces or aces. Well, it is, and that's the crazy thing is that they made one trade, maybe a couple other moves, but essentially one trade, the Chris Sale trade. The Dodgers loaded up on Yamamoto and Ohtani and all these guys. And if you ask me right now who's the better team, I'm probably picking Atlanta.
Yeah, I agree.
So
Atlanta has
I'll take Chris
Sale. They'll give them that.
All right. We're closing out this little sesh with some trivia.
Yeah, trivia. We're not going to spend too much on it, but we definitely want to end it with, I think, all of these shows with some fun. All right, guys. So we're going to go to the decade of the 2010s. Okay. So the one we just got rid of not too long ago. Okay. This is a 10-year gap. Okay. 10 years from 2010 to 2019. Who led Major League Baseball over that entire time in home runs?
Ooh.
You each get one pick.
Oh, man.
2010 to 2019. Ooh.
30 seconds on the clock.
30 seconds. I ain't going to think of something by then.
I'm going to go with Trout.
I don't think you guys are going to get this. It was not Mike Trout. Oh, no. Cuba?
I'm going to say Nelson Cruz.
Oh. Nelson Cruz is correct.
What? What?
346 DH spot.
Bro.
346.
That came out of left field, homie.
346 home runs.
Pujols?
Nelson Cruz.
No, Nelson Cruz. Oh.
Nelson Cruz.
All right.
Texas.
He would go on tears.
Dude, he used to
mash. I almost said Pujols. I almost said it.
He used to mash. Oh, man. Anyway, thanks for playing today's trivia. Right now, Q's got one up on the board. We'll tune in next time.
I'll add a little tally to this so we know.
Yeah, there you go.
Get a little whiteboard in the back.
All right.
Yeah, don't do it next time.
Next week's episode. Do we want to do a little brief overview of it, or we just want to leave it a surprise for next week?
We're going to talk about the frustration of Anthony Rendon and how he leads me to daytime drinking. So we'll talk about that.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Cool.
This is fun, boys.
All right.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
Yeah, thanks for chilling. Thanks for watching.
Yeah. We really appreciate it.
We'll see you next
Daddy from
week.
Kentucky, hope to hear from you.
Ooh.
Well, we really did it.
Yeah.
We really did it. First time in like 11 years. Well,
next.
All right, everybody. Hope you guys have a wonderful week, and we'll catch you guys on Down and Out Sports Podcast next Tuesday.
Peace.
Peace.
Hey.